Is JavaScript dead? Hey developers, the JavaScript survey for 2022 just came out, so I thought I would show you some of the most interesting points of it. Is Vue dying? Is React dying? Is Svelte dying? Let's take a look and see what we can find. Hey, and if you like these type of videos, make sure you share this with your friends and family and other developers. That'd be really helpful. And leave a comment below if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying here. All right, let's just jump in. All right, so I pulled some important information out of here, out of the survey. So they had over 40,000 respondents this year. And there's a lot of information in the survey. If you don't know, the JavaScript survey happens every single year, and they ask JavaScript developers what they're using. And it's a good way to measure the temperature of the JavaScript ecosystem and what people are using as web developers. First, let's take a look at the demographics. You can see here, and this is kind of what I've seen every year. The biggest proportion of people taking the survey are from the United States, but we have quite a few people all over the world: Europe, 5%, France, UK, India. So that kind of gives you an idea of where these respondents are from. English is their main language that I've seen here over and over again. And it looks like most people complete the survey. And as for ages, it's about over half of it are under the age of 34. So a lot more younger people take this survey. Years of experience, most people are under 10 years of experience. In fact, a good 30% of people are under 5 years of experience. So that kind of gives you an idea of who takes this survey. Most people have a degree or a degree in a related field, it looks like, who took this survey. And most people are making under $100,000 a year. There's a few people making over $200,000, but not too many. And still about 70% men taking this survey. All right, so the main meat of this is probably why you clicked on this video, about front-end frameworks. How are we doing nowadays? And it actually looks like a lot of these frameworks lost a little bit of momentum. So this is the satisfaction. This is basically retention, interest, usage, and awareness ratios. And you can see here a lot like Vue dipped down from last year to 77% from 80%. Lit, Alpine.js all kind of dipped down. React stayed just about the same, and then Svelte and Solid were about the same as well. And I think you can see these dips are really, really small, but I think as these more and more frameworks get more and more mature, you're going to see these dips in satisfaction on some of these frameworks because a lot of people have used them. It's just not for every single use case for every single framework, and people have different preferences, but I really don't see too much. But you can see here, Vue has almost 30%, have used it and would use it again, which I think is a really good sign. It's the second highest compared to React. So I think that makes a sense that Vue is continuing to get more popular. There's a lot of people using it. A lot of people love it. So it's just really high up there. It's third on this ranking here, right behind React and Svelte. So I would say the Vue ecosystem is doing great. React ecosystem is doing great as well. And it's good to see some of these other ones like Solid. There's a lot of people having research Solid, Quick, Preact that are still in there. Weird about Angular. Every year, Angular does really bad on these surveys. A lot of people think because they combine Angular 1 and Angular 2 together, that might be the cause of it. Because here, it's all the way at the bottom. It has the highest used it, would not use again. I mean, it has 18% people who like it. It's higher than Svelte. So maybe it's just a very polarizing framework. People either love it or hate it for Angular. So for other tools, you can see Nuxt 3 is on here. Astro Remix are at the top. So it's good to see Nuxt on this list here. And there was a lot of conversation recently, especially on tech Twitter, about is JavaScript going in the right direction. And it looks like most people are pretty happy with it. It's like 45% are happy, very happy. I mean, over 50% of people are happy with JavaScript and where the front-end frameworks are going, and that's really good. So rendering frameworks, this is interesting. These are frameworks focused on rendering and serving your application. You can see here at the top is Astro, and then followed by Next, Docusaurus, Nuxt, which is 80%, which is kind of on par with what Vue's at. Same thing, 11D. And it looks like Nuxt from 2021 to 22 had about the same sort of popularity as it had before. And a lot of these just either stayed the same or dipped a little bit. So no real big changes from last year to this year. Of course, Next just keeps on getting more and more popularity, but I'm glad to see Nuxt is still doing really well. And if you look at the positive negative split on it, of course, Next is really, really high, as you would expect. Svelte gets right up there. But Nuxt has really good, it's the second highest out of all of these positive negative splits on used it, would use it again, which I think is a really good indication. So it's at 14%. The only thing higher is Next. So in the Vue ecosystem, I think you can't go wrong with Nuxt, and especially Nuxt 3. It's an amazing product. And now for other tools, you can see here, ViewPress, Quasar still in there. So that's really good. So I wanted to add in build tools because look how amazing Vite is doing. It's actually gained popularity. It's almost at 100%, went from 97 to 98%. People love this build tool. If you haven't used it, I've done a bunch of videos on Vite and how it can be used to create React or Vue apps. It's really powerful. It's a good bundler. It does everything for you. It's super high satisfaction rating, 44%, and 25% would use again. TSC CLI, so if you used this TypeScript compiler, it's also really high too, because everybody is talking about TypeScript, and we'll talk about TypeScript in a second too. So other tools, I like to look at this to see if there's any tools that are coming up that I need to keep my eye on. Lodash has been out for a long time. I'm glad to see RxJS still quite popular on this list. People are still using Moment all the time, but I think date FNS is catching up. So if you're using something to do with date and time, I'd use date and FNS instead of Moment, but Moment's definitely still out there. And people are still using Chart.js a lot. This is interesting. So everybody's been talking about TypeScript for a while. Obviously, it's been hugely popular. It's been getting more popular, been more popular every year. I think nowadays people don't create apps without TypeScript. I mean, it's pretty rare. You could see that the JavaScript TypeScript balance, it's 100%. Well, it's 20.7% with pick and choose. And if you add TypeScript, they're going to go 100% TypeScript instead of doing like 50% JavaScript and 50% TypeScript. I don't know why you would do that. I would just go all TypeScript. This is how do you divide your time between writing JavaScript and TypeScript. Once you go TypeScript, you just pretty much go in it all the way. Now, here's the section I was really interested in. I look at this every year. It's like, how are people learning software development? So first, learning methods. Obviously, a lot of people are just learning self-directed, which is the highest, but online courses still really popular. A lot of free online courses. I really like the stuff from Free Code Camp if you're interested in that. I've also have tons of free YouTube videos on this channel, which are basically courses. Video screencasts are really popular, obviously YouTube. Books, a lot of people say books are dead. No one learns from books, but you can see here, it's the 4th highest amount on the survey of how do people, when they're first starting out, how do they initially learn coding, and they use books. And now for blogs and magazine, Medium and Dev2, CSS Tricks, I think these are the top 3 every single year. People learn from them all the time. Video creators, I don't think they did this last year. So who are you learning online for learning your web development? And by the way, if you're watching this channel right now, thank you so much. Fireship is #1. A lot of my friends, I've talked to a lot of these people. Kevin Powell, amazing. It's funny, he does mostly CSS, but he's in the JavaScript survey. Web Dev Simplified, Kyle does an amazing job on his channel. I'd highly recommend him. Theo's kind of blown up recently. Of course, Brad's been on this journey for a long time, and he has amazing tutorials. Primogen's blowing up. Ben's been talked about a lot in this space. So a lot of really great developers. Mayuka has an amazing channel too. And then just people in general, I like just like, these are notable people in the field that put on this survey. And of course, Dan Abramoff always is on the top of these lists. Everybody lists him. If you want a recommendation of people you should follow in the industry, check this out. I never make these lists, maybe one day. And to top it all off, here are the awards. So most adopted feature, top level of weight. Vite is obviously super popular. Vite won a bunch of different awards this year. Most common libraries React, and I should really try Astro. People loving it. So that is my thoughts. I think this year was a lot of the same from 2021 to 2022. A lot of the popularity of all the main frameworks didn't change much, or they went slightly dipped down. But I think it's mostly because they just keep on maturing, and when you have more and more people using your framework, there's going to be people that are not going to like it's not for them. So I don't really see any huge changes. I think Vite is just continuing to gain more popularity, and TypeScript, if you haven't started using TypeScript in your apps, I really think you should. So those are my takeaways. Let me know your takeaways. Leave a comment below. Thanks.